Our devices are designed to hold our attention for as long as possible, making it nearly impossible to use them just a little. Phone makers and app developers hire psychologists to make their products addictive. They employ the same techniques that casinos use to keep people playing slot machines. I realized this when I downloaded a screen time tracker app. I thought I was using my phone maybe an hour or two a day. Turns out, I was on it for almost 6 hours. And the worst part was, I couldn't even remember what I'd been doing on it for all that time. Without clear boundaries, our digital devices consume more of our time without us noticing, like a python gradually tightening around its prey until it's too late. Our phones have been claiming more of our attention over the years, and most of us haven't recognized it. I remember when I first got a smartphone, I used it to make calls, send texts, and occasionally check email. Now it's my alarm clock, my camera, my map, my shopping mall, my entertainment center, and my connection to the entire world. No wonder it's hard to put down. Creating physical distance from your phone, like keeping it in another room while working, can reduce check-ins by over 70%. I was skeptical about this initially. I thought I have good self-control. But I decided to try it anyway, and the difference was immediate. When my phone wasn't within arm's reach, I only checked it when I actually needed it for something specific. All those random, let me just check if I have any notifications, moments disappeared. I went from checking my phone about 100 times a day to maybe 30 times. The hardest part was the first couple days. I kept reaching for my phone automatically, then remembering it wasn't there. That's when I realized how much of my phone use was pure habit, not actual need. Using app blockers or screen time limits creates friction that makes you more conscious of your digital consumption. These tools don't make it impossible to use your apps. They just make you take an extra step, giving you a moment to think, do I really need to check Instagram right now? I installed an app blocker that locks me out of social media between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Initially, I found myself automatically trying to open these apps dozens of times daily. Each time I'd get the message, app blocked until 5 p.m. It was eye-opening to realize how often I was trying to check social media without making a conscious decision. Building on this strategy, I found that turning off notifications for all but essential apps reduced my phone pickups from 96 times per day to fewer than 40. I used to get notifications for everything, each one like a tap on the shoulder saying, "Look at me right now." When I turned off almost all notifications, I immediately felt less stressed. My phone stopped controlling my attention. I still get notifications from messaging apps and phone calls, but everything else waits until I decide to check it. This cut my screen time by about 2 hours daily. I was also more present in my daily life. Without my phone constantly interrupting me, I could focus on people and tasks. Conversations became more meaningful. Work became more productive. Even watching TV became more enjoyable because I was actually paying attention to the show instead of splitting my focus. Another powerful change, keeping your phone out of your bedroom improves sleep quality and reclaims the first and last hour of your day. Before, I used my phone as my alarm clock, making it the last thing I saw before sleep and the first thing in the morning. When I bought a regular alarm clock and started leaving my phone in the living room overnight, I noticed 2 dramatic improvements. I fell asleep faster, within minutes rather than an hour, and my mornings transformed from frantic email checking to a calm, intentional routine. Instead of immediately diving into digital noise, I now have peaceful mornings that set a better tone for my entire day. Research shows that blue light from phones interferes with sleep hormones. Beyond that, checking work emails or social media before bed puts your brain in an active state when you should be winding down. Having my phone elsewhere meant finding other pre-sleep activities. I returned to reading actual books. I had real conversations with my partner. I did light stretching. All these activities better support good sleep than endless scrolling. Setting digital boundaries can save you those nearly 5 hours daily that you can redirect to activities that truly matter. For me, those reclaimed hours meant finally writing a book, something I'd been wanting to do for years but never had time for. I also spend more time outdoors, and have deeper conversations with friends instead of just liking their posts. These boundaries aren't about restriction. They're about freedom to use your time intentionally rather than reactively. I'm not using less technology because technology is bad. I'm being more intentional about how and when I use it so that technology serves me, not the other way around. Try starting with just one small boundary. Maybe put your phone in another room during dinner. Or turn off notifications for your most distracting app. Or charge your phone outside your bedroom. Pick something doable and try it for a week. Pay attention to how it makes you feel and what you do with that reclaimed time. I think you'll be surprised by how such a small change can make such a big difference. What if the key to taking back control of your time isn't some complicated system, but actually just a few small daily habits? I discovered this the hard way. For years, I tried following these super detailed productivity systems with color-coded calendars and special apps. I'd stick with them for maybe a week, then give up because they were too much work. We often think we need to completely overhaul our lives to improve our time management, but that's not actually true. I used to believe I needed to transform my entire schedule all at once. Wake up at 5 a.m., plan every minute, never waste a second. But every time I tried to make these massive changes, I'd crash and burn. I just couldn't maintain that level of intensity. The truth is, the most effective time management strategies are often the simplest ones that you can consistently maintain over time. Success comes from making small, sustainable changes that accumulate over weeks, months, and years. I learned this from watching my friend Alex. He never seemed stressed about time, yet he accomplished so much more than I did. When I asked him his secret, he laughed and said, "I just do a few small things every day." That's when I realized I was making everything way too complicated. Starting tasks earlier makes a significant difference. Students who submit assignments early tend to get higher grades. 76% of early submitters get A's or B's, compared to 60% of procrastinators. When I begin projects ahead of deadline, I have time to identify problems and fix them. The work itself doesn't change, just when I start it. Spending money on time-saving services can dramatically impact your life. Research shows that paying for services that save time can increase happiness as much as getting an $18,000 raise. I now get groceries delivered and use a cleaning service twice monthly, costing about $200, but saving me around 10 hours, time I spend on activities that matter to my goals. The average person spends 52.2 minutes commuting daily. That's 10 full days per year. After realizing this, I arranged to work from home twice weekly, gaining nearly 2 hours on those days while increasing my productivity. For those unable to work remotely, alternatives exist. Listening to audiobooks during drives or adjusting work hours to avoid heavy traffic. Daily routine adjustments can yield substantial time savings. Setting out clothes and packing lunch the night before saves me about 15 minutes of morning decision-making, over 90 hours annually from this simple habit. The touch-it-once rule for email management has cut my email time nearly in half by immediately deciding what to do with each message rather than repeatedly checking the same emails. For quick tasks, I follow the 2-minute rule, completing things immediately rather than adding them to my to-do list if they take less than 2 minutes. These minor tasks create significant mental clutter when they accumulate. Harvard researchers found that effective time management comes down to 3 core skills: awareness, arrangement, and adaptation. Awareness means understanding your current time usage and priorities. Arrangement involves organizing tasks and schedules to align with those priorities. Adaptation requires adjusting your approach when circumstances change. This framework simplifies time management into developing skills through consistent actions rather than finding a perfect system. My weekly review habit has proven invaluable. Spending 30 minutes each Sunday reflecting on the previous week and planning for the next helps me maintain awareness of my time usage and make adjustments before small issues become major problems. Setting specific time limits for certain activities has been equally important. I allow myself 30 minutes daily for social media, divided between morning and evening sessions. The one big thing approach ensures daily progress on priorities. By identifying and tackling the single, most important task first thing each day, I make meaningful advances on what matters most, even when other parts of my day go off track. The most impactful time management techniques are those you can sustain consistently. When I attempted to implement an intricate time blocking system, I abandoned it after a week because it was too rigid. Starting with just blocking 2 hours each morning for focused work proved manageable. Over time, I gradually added more structure, but beginning with a small change was essential. You don't need to transform your entire life overnight. Start with one small change that returns a bit more control over your time. Perhaps it's keeping your phone in another room while working, setting timers for social media browsing, or meal prepping on weekends. I began with a simple boundary: no phone until after breakfast. This created calmer, more focused mornings. Once that became habitual, I added another manageable change, then another. Individually, each change seemed minor, but collectively they transformed my relationship with time. Time management isn't about maximizing every minute or eliminating breaks. It's about intentionally using your time to focus more on what truly matters to you. These small, consistent actions create the foundation for meaningful change in how you experience your days. So what's one small change you could implement tomorrow? Something simple you can maintain consistently? That's where real-time transformation begins. Breaking the procrastination cycle. Did you know that 75% of college students regularly procrastinate? It affects almost all of us. I still remember pulling an all-nighter in college to finish a paper I had 6 weeks to work on. I started it around 10 p.m. the night before it was due, fueled by energy drinks and panic. Sound familiar? For years, I thought I procrastinated because I was lazy or disorganized. I'd beat myself up about it and promise to do better next time. But then next time would come around, and I'd find myself in the exact same situation, staying up late to finish something I could have started weeks ago. Here's what finally changed everything for me. Procrastination isn't actually a time management problem. It's an emotional regulation problem. That might sound strange at first, but it completely transformed how I understood my own behavior. We don't procrastinate because we're lazy. We procrastinate because we're trying to avoid negative emotions associated with certain tasks. Think about it. What kinds of tasks do you usually put off? For me, it's usually things that make me feel anxious, bored, frustrated, or confused. I noticed I never procrastinate on things I enjoy. I never have to force myself to watch a new episode of my favorite show or call a friend I love talking to. I only procrastinate on tasks that trigger uncomfortable feelings. Research shows that academic procrastination is linked to a combination of poor time management skills and psychological inflexibility. That second part is key. Psychological inflexibility means struggling to take action when it brings up difficult thoughts and feelings. We avoid the task because we're really avoiding how it makes us feel. Take my thesis experience as an example. I put it off for weeks because every time I sat down to work, I felt overwhelmed and anxious. What if my ideas weren't good enough? What if I couldn't explain my research clearly? Instead of sitting with those uncomfortable feelings, I'd suddenly remember other urgent tasks like organizing my desk or checking email. When we procrastinate, we're choosing short-term mood relief over long-term goals, creating a cycle that's hard to break. The task makes us feel bad, so we avoid it. Avoiding it gives us temporary relief. That relief reinforces the avoidance behavior. Meanwhile, the task doesn't go away, it often gets worse because now we have less time to complete it. This creates more negative emotions, making us want to avoid it even more. I used to claim I worked better under pressure. I need the adrenaline rush of a deadline to be productive, I'd tell myself. But that was just a story I told to justify my procrastination. The truth was that I was avoiding uncomfortable feelings, not strategically waiting for some productivity sweet spot. The solution isn't about better scheduling, it's about addressing the emotional component of task avoidance. If we don't tackle our difficulty in handling negative emotions, no productivity system or to-do list will solve the problem. This doesn't mean we need years of therapy to stop procrastinating. It means approaching procrastination with self-compassion and emotional awareness, not just stricter schedules or harsher self-criticism. My procrastination first aid kit contains specific strategies for different emotional triggers. 1. For anxiety. Take 3 deep breaths, write down specific fears, and recall past successes. This reduces overwhelming feelings by making fears concrete and manageable. 2. For boredom. Pair the task with something enjoyable like music or a pleasant environment. This creates positive associations that balance the negative emotions. 3. For confusion. Commit to asking just one clarifying question or finding one helpful resource. This breaks through paralysis by creating momentum. 4. For overwhelm. Break tasks into tiny steps, not just small but tiny. Instead of write report, the first step might be open document and save it. This bypasses the emotional resistance of large tasks. 5. For general avoidance. Use time blocking to separate the decision to do something from the feeling of doing it. This works because the hardest part is often starting. Another technique I call strategic satisfaction moments identifies small milestones within a project with little rewards for reaching them. This creates positive emotions that counterbalance the negative ones, making it easier to keep going. Working alongside other people, either physically or virtually, can also help. When I'm struggling to start something, I'll call a friend and ask if they want to work together silently on Zoom. Just having someone else there reduces the emotional burden. Simply naming the emotion I'm feeling has proven remarkably effective. When I notice myself avoiding a task, I pause and ask, what feeling am I trying to avoid right now? Sometimes it's fear of failure. Other times it's boredom or confusion. Just recognizing the emotion makes it less powerful. The most important thing I've learned about breaking the procrastination cycle is to be kind to myself when I slip up. Because I will slip up, we all do. Procrastination is a deeply human tendency. The goal isn't to never procrastinate, it's to procrastinate less often and recover more quickly when it happens. So the next time you find yourself scrolling through social media instead of starting that important project, try asking yourself, what feeling am I trying to avoid right now? The answer might surprise you, and it might be the key to finally breaking free from the procrastination cycle. The truth is, we all have the same 24 hours each day. What makes the difference isn't fancy productivity systems or waking up at 5 a.m., it's how intentionally we choose to use our time. Small changes create the biggest impact on our daily lives. Identify one specific time thief you'll conquer this week. Put your phone in another room during dinner. Turn off email notifications after 7 p.m. Watch how quickly you regain control over your day. Your time is precious. Direct it toward what truly matters to you.